What's up, Botchamaniacs? Quick update here on the podcast. First of all, we want to say thanks to everyone that's listened to all of our content before and all the new followers on social media. And because there's so many more people engaging with us now, we've decided to finally get our shit together and put in a proper recording schedule. We absolutely love doing our deep dive documentary style podcasts, but the thing is, we just can't do the research needed to make them as epic as we want them around our professional lives, because we're both kind of perfectionists. So we've decided we're going to do 3 shorter podcasts a month. One will be our WCW saga, the other one our WWE 2006 run, another one will be a random, slightly obscure topic, the more niche stuff in the wrestling world. And finally, the 4th podcast of the month will be our new Super Pod! This will be twice the length, we'll do all the research, and we're going to go into a proper deep dive of every topic. We want to cover all the facts, get it right, and now a really cool documentary style podcast. As well as this, we'll continue to do our shorter bits on YouTube, but they'll all follow the same theme as whatever we're talking about on the Super Pod to get you and us excited about the month's topic. And we've only gone and kicked off our first theme with CM Punk. Of course we have. So all our short bits will be themed around CM Punk, and our first ever Super Pod is going to be all about the summer of Punk. We'll go play by play through the whole storyline, that whole year that really cemented Punk as one of the legends of the business. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. We really hope that you guys will enjoy our content that we're going to bring to you in a month-by-month basis. And until next time, always keep it botched up.
Brother! Here's some botched up extra bits. Fries on the side.
What's up? This is the Botching Up Podcast Chit Chat Show. As always, with me, Benito, and my good friend Basil.
Hey Ben, been a long time. By the way, we definitely didn't celebrate it, but at some point, happy anniversary to this podcast.
Whoa, yeah, I was going to talk to you about that. I forgot. When is our anniversary? Because the podcast started, technically, in December 17. But then we kind of took like a 2-year layoff, and then we got back to it in March, was it? Last year?
Yeah, I feel like you can't count that. That's like when you have a girlfriend at school, and then you go away from each other for 30 years, and then find each other again magically, like in the movies. And then you get a relationship and get a dog and get married. So I think we should start it from the second christening of Botching It Up. But the only reason I thought about it was because I'm sitting in a flat that I feel like the walls are melting Silent Hill style because it's so hot. And I remember us doing Slammiversary last year while you were sitting on some stairs, and it was 28 degrees for both of us.
It was very hot.
Yeah.
It's very hot now.
So happy anniversary, Ben.
Happy anniversary. Next year we'll do something a bit more exciting.
Or just do something.
Anyway, like you said, we managed to be in the same room for once to watch some wrestling, and we decided to watch Slammiversary. And we're going to talk about it now.
We kind of watched Slammiversary because we had nothing to do, and then we swam to a pier and sat on the iron railings of the pier, underneath the pier, which is a very nice moment I had with you. But we also watched W. Morrissey versus Eddie Edwards in between that, so I would like to talk about this.
Well, let's start with that match then, as you brought it up. Why have they dropped the ball on Big Cass, like, from the get-go? Surely they should have brought him in as, like, a massive deal.
See, are you sure that they've dropped the ball on Big Cass? Because...
Well, he's just no good, to begin with.
I would argue that Eddie Edwards is, at least in Impact 2016 onwards thinking, their sort of Randy Orton. Eddie Edwards has, for some reason, become the face of the company, probably because he's one of the only guys that just didn't get a contract elsewhere. And Big Cass, because I'm not going to call him W. Morrissey because it's a stupid name, beat him clean in 11 minutes. The match itself was, in my opinion personally, rather boring. I think Eddie Edwards tried his best. Big Cass had some Kevin Nash moments, but they were too few and far in between. Does Big Cass even have any hype in the wrestling world? I disagree with you. I think they've tried their best with Cass.
Yeah, he's not over for me either, and I think the big problem in this match is it just went too long. If they really wanted to get Big Cass over, he should have just dominated, like, the entire thing. It should have just been like a 3-minute squash.
Yeah, and I see why they didn't do that, because obviously Eddie Edwards is the guy that they've sort of chosen to build the company around.
He was champion not too long ago, right?
Yeah, he was. He had a little interim, I think, and then before that he had quite a bit of a run. Yeah, not working for me. I've always preferred Enzo anyway. I've never necessarily seen a hell of a lot in Big Cass, and I think we're getting to the point in wrestling now where you don't necessarily just get the big bucks because you're the big guy. I think at this point wrestling has become slightly more nuanced than the early 90s, and you need to have some form of character or charisma to get going.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think he needs Big Cass to be
Enzo.
Yeah, so he needs Enzo to feel important, yeah.
We seem to be in the minority on this show, Ben.
People liked it.
From what I've seen from the forums, and I listened to a little bit of Meltzer and Dickhead, what's his name? Everybody really liked it. Everybody enjoyed it and thought that it actually went further than their estimation of it was.
I mean, it was okay for an Impact show, I guess, but you always think that their bigger shows are going to be better than what they deliver. I'm just always underwhelmed every time you make me watch an Impact show.
It's the same thing with me. I wouldn't necessarily call it an abusive relationship because I'm not really bothered with Impact, but I do turn up every 6 months and I'm just disappointed by what I'm given and leave again. But I will continue coming back. I will come back every Slammiversary and every Bound for Glory. I usually show more interest around Slammiversary time just because they've sort of built that idea of Slammiversary around whoever WWE fires now. I love their business plan of actually waiting until WWE does their April releases and then building their second biggest pay-per-view around that. I find that quite fun.
All the new returns, all the surprise new signees.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of these new signees. I want to talk about your favourite match of the night, boyfriend-girlfriend match.
Fucking hell, man. So that was Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green versus Brian Myers and Tenille Dashwood. Later found out that Brian Myers has actually been happily married for a very long time and he's got 2 kids with a non-wrestler, so I take that back. But I think what I was getting confused with was Matt Cardona, aka Zack Ryder, used to date Tenille Dashwood, aka Emma. So this was kind of Matt Cardona and his girlfriend versus his best mate and ex-girlfriend.
So this only went 6 minutes, but I feel like you felt you were in the chambers of hell.
Oh man,
for a lifetime.
This was a 19-minute 2 out of 3 falls, bro. This it's just endless. And the thing with it, right? I'm going into it. I've never particularly enjoyed Zack Ryder. I've got a little bit of time for Kurt Hawkins. I think he's got something there. Everybody that watches Impact, who is a smart mark, is aware of the fact that they have an action figure podcast together.
Yeah.
What I don't need is Matt Stryker telling me, trying to sell some sort of cards, Impact Wrestling cards, and then saying, hey, the guys in the ring right now would probably be really into this. Thanks, Matt Stryker. I didn't believe in this match anyway, but now I'm just thinking about the 2 guys pretending to kick each other, looking at trading cards.
Yeah, I even asked you at the time, like, do they work this storyline on the podcast? Do they, like, pretend to hate each other and also are forced to have to do this podcast with each other? And you're like, no, they're just best mates.
No, I mean, I could go into the big problem with the wrestling business in general, but I'm not going to. But yeah, no, a work is a work, and didn't you know that, you Mark?
All right, let's run through this show, and I want to just get your feelings on each of the matches. The Ultimate X match that opened up the pay-per-view. What did you give that? Did you give it any star rating?
I gave that a 2 3/4. There was so many sloppy things in that, and Rohit Raju had some terrible spots with trying to get the X Division Championship with like pieces of.
Well, he was the comedy guy.
Yeah, I didn't think it worked. There was like 3 Canadian destroyers. Josh Alexander didn't seem to fit in, and can I just clarify? I like most of, if not all of these guys. It was just like it felt like they threw so many plans into a 15-minute match that they ended up all being sloppy, and it just felt like a ballerina routine where we're just waiting for the guy to do the next spot.
It definitely felt like a routine. It was fun to see Petey Williams back though.
Yeah, loved seeing Petey Williams, and I've got a lot of time for Chris Bay as well.
So Josh Alexander won that. Then we had the mixed match. Then we had Morrissey and Edwards.
A 1 3/4 star for me.
Finn Juice beat Madman Fulton and Shearer in an unannounced match in 1 minute. I think that was just to put the returning New Japan team over.
Don't care.
Chris Sabin beat Moose,
This was
which
an
was a bit of a
interesting
shock.
one. I gave this one 3/4, and I think I was being quite generous, really.
That
because
is generous.
I really like Moose. I didn't think they necessarily worked well together, and I have no idea why Chris Sabin won. But it was from the first three matches that you've mentioned, that took up an hour and 20 minutes of the show. I was just grateful to see someone with good promo work and strong wrestling ability. I've long been a fan of Moose, and I have no idea why he re-signed with Impact, but it was the first decent match of the card, I would say, personally.
I'm a big fan of Moose, and usually he seems like a star, but here it was just a mid-carder. I don't know if that's because he knew he was losing to Chris Sabin, so he didn't put in, like, a game.
What a strange guy to put over Moose. Chris Sabin. I'm not getting it.
I don't understand why Chris Sabin even needs to be put over anymore. Surely he should be kind of the legend getting the X Division guys over.
Well, I'm hoping they've got plans for Sabin, because otherwise that was just a waste of the second biggest show of the year with probably your hottest star. But hey, at least it's not NXT champion Karrion Kross getting jobbed to mid-carder Jeff Hardy in under 2 minutes.
Next up, the Good Brothers won the Impact World Championship, Tag Team Championship in a 4-way tag match against Violet by Design, Rich Swann and Willie Mack, and Fallah Bar, and the debuting No Way.
Who they kept accidentally calling Jose.
But his official name is just No Way.
Do you want me to just quickly bang through this?
Yeah.
I gave
what were we thinking?
I gave it a 1.5 stars. I found it really boring. It felt like it went 10 minutes longer than it did. The Good Brothers have Scott Hall and Kevin Nash energy, but in the way that they can't be bothered to work and they're just waiting to go to the bar without any
That's
of the
an
charisma.
interesting point, because I feel like they're at that point in their career as well, where they've done everything and they're now just around for the paycheck.
But they haven't done everything, because they did the Undertaker stuff at WWE, but they never got to the top of WWE's division.
No, they were never stars, but they've been champions everywhere.
Sure.
But there's not much left for them to do.
I feel like all they do these days is phone it in. All they do is phone it in. Why you have signed No Way Jose, I have no idea. That's not a knock on the guy. I just, out of the free agents right now, that's not a guy that I would be spending money on. And No Way himself, I have no idea why he hasn't completely changed gimmick, because he's doing the same gimmick as Adam Rose was 6 years ago, which was probably given to him either by Triple H or Vince, and I don't know why you carry that on to the glorified indies. I feel like
he could have reinvented himself, and this could have been his Cody Rhodes years, where he just becomes a completely new guy.
And he fucked that up completely.
He's just happy getting a paycheck, I guess.
I thought Willie Mack was underutilized. Willie Mack's my favorite guy in this match. Willie Mack deserves way more than whatever he gets whenever he gets it.
Well, again, I always feel like this guy is someone that phones it in. Or maybe he doesn't. I'm not too sure. Maybe he's just in the wrong place. But
there's a little bit of that.
He seems great, but he's never in a position which I feel like he deserves. He could be in.
I've never seen him do more than a 10-minute match. I think that's an issue with me. He's never done like a half an hour banger. He's always in like 6-minute stuff.
Maybe he's just not got enough gas in the tank.
Potentially.
Because, I mean, he's a big guy, but I always saw him as a bit of a Samoa Joe or Keith Lee, that he can go. He can do the really cool athletic stuff.
Yeah. Last year at Slammiversary, Heath Slater debuted, and we thought that was going to be a big change in the guard, and then he turned up and he did the same comedy gimmick, and he wasn't on this show. So, No Way Jose, I wish the best for him. He's a big fucker as well. There's so much you could do with him, I think, but I have a feeling...
he stood face to face with Doc Gallows, didn't he?
Well, that was the stupid thing. They were playing Gallows off with Doering as the big guys, and No Way was pretending to be smaller than he was, which was weird. Speaking of Doering, is it Joe Doering? I love the look of that guy. That guy looks great. Yeah, just really disappointing, like a lot of this card.
So we'll get on to them being champions in a minute when we do the main. But first, match of the night for me, Purrazzo retained the belt over Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, great match. Apparently this is a one and done for Thunder Rosa. She's not interested in Impact, but these two worked.
I'm not surprised, to be honest.
These two worked really well together. Deonna Purrazzo's come on wonders since she left NXT. And this seems to be the classic Thunder Rosa match. Thunder Rosa is actually kind of becoming she's more flair than most people, because she seems to be going from territory to territory. Everybody knows who she is and loves her, but it seems like no company quite trusts her enough to give her the win. So she basically jobs the other person out and then loses, which I'm perfectly fine with, to be honest. But she's definitely got an aura about her and a star quality.
It was a fun match. I really enjoyed it. It was match of the night for me, but it definitely didn't make Purrazzo look very good because it looked like she won by a fluke.
Yeah, I gave this 3.5. I had to give Omega Callahan match of the night personally. Just the way that Omega... I mean, hardcore garbage matches are not my thing. You are well aware of that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I thought that the way that Omega adapted to Callahan was fantastic, and the way that they built the heat, because it started off like using all the gimmicks straight away, seeming to have nothing left. But I found out that they went 27 minutes 45 seconds, and I didn't get bored throughout this match.
I feel like it stalled a bit in the middle, a little bit, but then they brought it back with the most amazing table bump I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was a fantastic table bump.
Both of them were stood on a table, and somehow it didn't collapse until Omega was pole drive through it.
But that was the main thing that we were amazed by, just the fact that the table was still standing. But then the bump itself was great too.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved Don Callis on commentary.
And just Don Callis running around, getting involved. And we got to put a spotlight on a pizza cutter.
Yeah.
That's something new, which we were both disgusted and amazed by at the same time.
It's funny you say that, because I watched a really bad film today starring a plastic surgeried Mickey Rourke, and one of the weapons used to slit an enemy's throat was a pizza cutter, and I thought that was so weird to see it twice in 3 days, and I guess whatever you put into the universe you get back.
Sure. Alright, before we close off then, we've got to talk about how the show ended, because I know you hated it. Jay White came out as a surprise and refused to two-sweet his old stable buddies.
Hey, look, I didn't hate it. I have an issue with when I feel alienated by a product because I was supposed to have already done research. I know who Jay White is, and I'm aware of him. It doesn't matter who it is, whether it's AEW or Impact or Ring of Honor, whatever. You should be opening your product to as many people as possible. If you're introducing Jay White, just give a little backlog. 2 sentences on the announce desk would have been fine. But it is what it is. I much preferred the return on the rival company's Sunday night show, also in Texas. But hey, Jay White, I guess, mixes things up a bit, and I see that the internet's having a breakdown about it, and especially the internet's having a breakdown on why this wasn't on AEW TV.
Yeah, it's quite surprising this is happening on Impact. This is quite a big deal. Jay White became the next Bullet Club leader after Omega left. So this is like the next story to be told in the Bullet Club Chronicles, if you like.
What's your opinion of it personally as an angle? Do you think this is like a breakthrough thing? I've heard that these guys have never really faced each other at this level on American soil. Like, do you think it's a big deal?
I think they're going to have a banger of a match.
Do you think it's going to draw eyes on the product?
On Impact?
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, because when you were saying about how you don't like that you got to look up guys, I feel like the majority of Impact's audience are already watching New Japan, because it's the hardest core wrestling fans, surely, that are watching Impact.
What in your opinion could Impact do at this point? Because they've got Kenny Omega as their champion. They're bringing Jay White in. They're bringing Finn Juice in. They're trying their very, very best to appeal to that niche alternative audience. And they're still hitting 100,000 views on their weekly product. Like, what can they possibly do at this point?
I think the problem is there's guys on the lower card that aren't so good that are putting 110% in, and there's guys at the top of the card which are being a bit lazy and just want a paycheck. And I'm not sure how to fix that, but I think it's just the overall presentation. Like, a crowd of 20 people looks rubbish. Like, just have no people or have a proper crowd.
And get some better audio.
the production as a whole, but that might be a money issue because they're not the richest company anymore. I don't know, because the Kenny Omega thing you'd think would bring a lot of fans over, but I'm a big AEW fan and I don't really care about Impact.
Final opinion on the show?
Like, I don't know, 2.5 stars. There was like only 2 matches which interested me, which was the last 30 minutes of the show. The rest was a real drag. Like, we literally had to go outside to survive.
Why do you think the show was so over with Alvarez and Meltzer? Was it the Jay White thing? Put him in a good mood?
The Jay White thing definitely would have popped Meltzer, because he's a big fan of that cross promoting. I thought the whole wrestling quality of most of the matches was quite bad.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway, what did you give the whole match, the whole show in total?
I was slightly more generous. I enjoyed myself a little bit more than you. I'd probably give a 2-3/4 for the whole show. I probably won't be back till Bound for Glory. And last Slammiversary, when Eric Young came back, a couple of other guys came back, I felt like there was more going on. There was more of interest. There was better quality matches. And I stuck around with Impact after last year's Slammiversary for a good 2 months, I think, whereas I probably won't be watching the Impact after Slammiversary this year. So not a great show in my opinion. Just an average passing of time for 3 hours if you've already watched everything else.
Oh dear, not a great review. Okay, so that is Slammiversary covered, and that's also apparently the Botching It Up anniversary episode.
How fitting.
So this month is our CM Punk month. We're doing a ton of short bits that are all Punk related, leading up to our first ever Super Pod, which is the Summer of Punk. However, this week's podcast, we're continuing our WWE 06 run. We're doing Judgment Day. But until then,
it's still part of CM Punk's month, man. Did you hear the theme tune for this WWE Judgment Day 2006?
Whoa, we'll get onto it. Until then, keep it botched up,
brother.
Like, share, and subscribe to Keep It Botched Up, brother.